Okay then, we have got the Arduino plugged into the computer. So if we head over to the computer screen, this is the Arduino IDE, which stands for, I don't know what it stands for, actually, something development environment. In any case, this is where we can write code and throw it onto the Arduino to run. Now, I should now say at this point, I do not know how to write code for the Arduino. I think it is in language called C++, but I basically don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal it from someone else. In this case, I'm going to steal it from Ben Eater, who has done an excellent video, pretty much exactly the same thing. I'm going to slightly change the code to suit my Arduino and my pins and so on, and I'm going to type it in so that I understand it as I go. Now, the way I understand it is anything you want to run once to set up, you put in between these two curly brackets, and anything you want to run again and again and again, you put in this in between these two brackets and mark loop. But before we start that, we've got to set ourselves some initial data. We've got to tell it about all the pins we're going to use. So, so we start by setting up an array, which I shall call address, which are going to be all of the address, pins, okay, and that is going to be, and we start at pin 22, so 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, and so on. Okay, there we go, 16 pins. So we've told it a whole bunch of different pins, okay, and we're also going to set up our data pins, so we will set those up as well. And again, we need to have a look at the pins we're going to use. According to this, we start at pin 31 and we go up in odd numbers. It's going to be 31, 33, 35, 37, 39, 41, 43, is that 31, 32, 35, 37, 43, 45. Okay, let's just double check to see if I've got those right, which I have. Okay, good. Now, so we've now got ourselves two arrays of numbers, which I can now use. So if I go into my setup function, okay, I can say, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a sort of for loop, and it goes like this. For an integer n equals naught, equals naught, thank you, to, I think, semicolon, n is less than 16, so that's going to run from n between 0 and 16, okay. We're going to add n plus equals 1, so we're going to add 1 each time, okay. So we're going to go through this loop a total of 16 times from n equals 0 to n equals 15 effectively, and then we're going to do these things. We are going to go pin mode, okay, and then we're going to say address n, okay, and we're going to set it to an input. Okay, so I think what that's going to do is run through from n equals 0 to n equals 15 and set the entirety of the lot to it be an input. Now, of course, I can then basically copy that and paste that for my data pins. Okay, so let's try that. This time I'm only going up to 8, and instead of address, it's going to be data, like that. Okay, and they're going to set them all to be inputs. So that means it's going to set all of the pins to input. Right, in my void loop, which I'm going to run forever, okay, again I'm going to put in, hold on, let's get rid of that. I'm going to put in a similar for int loop, okay, so for integer n equals 0 to n equals, sorry, n is less than 16. Okay, n plus equals 1. Okay, and then we are going to open up a loop which will do things in. Okay, so again, this is going to run through it 15 times exactly, and we're going to go, we're going to create an integer called bit. Okay, and that we're going to fill it with digital read. Oops, read, thank you. Okay, and it's going to read the address at part n, okay, like that. So what that's going to do is it's going to read the value at n. It's either going to be some voltage or no voltage. Actually, what this thing does, it does a boolean. It returns true or false. I don't want it to return true or false. I want it to return 1 or 0, so it ends up looking like a number. So let's do that. So that's 1 if it's true and 0 if it is not. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to print it. Now that doesn't mean print it out on a printer, it means chuck it onto the serial monitor, which is just a little screen which opens and you can have a look. So we'll serial print bit, which is the name of the integer I set. Okay, and then yeah, that's that. So that's for the address. Let's do exactly the same thing for the data. So again, we're going to take it down to 8. We're going to read data. Okay, and again, we're going to print it out. Now, if we do that, it's going to print out just a massive string with 1s and 0s. So let us also put in at this point, hold on, we can put in serial.print, and we'll just put in a whole bunch of spaces, like so. Okay, so with a bit of luck, what this should now do is read out 16 zeros and ones and chuck it at the screen, print a few spaces, read out 8 zeros and ones and chuck them at the screen. And then I guess what we want to do after that is print a line. Like that, I think. This is all very exciting because I've literally the first time I've done this. And we will see what that does. Ah, hold on. The other thing I need to do is in the setup, I need to tell it that we are actually doing something with a serial port, which I think goes serial.begin 57600, which is the baud rate. That's how fast it's communicating. Now I'm hoping that will, in fact, let's just save that. Okay, and we will save that as 6502 analyse. Okay. No. Sorry. Got to save it with an underscore. Okay. So I'm hoping that that will work. Well, I mean, let's give it a go and see. So let's verify and oh, hello. Invalid. Oh, that's interesting. Oh. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. So, oh no, because it's got a hash in front of it. That's very strange. Okay. Okay, where are we? Expected before equals token. Okay. By the way, this, in my extremely limited experience, happens all the time. Oh look, there we go. I've put in curly brackets instead of straight brackets. Let's try it again. And this time it has in fact uploaded. So I'm going to chuck it at the Arduino. Now let's have a look and see what happens if I see if I can find the serial port. Oh, sorry, the serial monitor. Okay. Well, it's doing something. It appears to be printing. Oh, now that's interesting. I think I ought to set this to the correct 57600. Ah, right, look at that. Can you see at the bottom of the screen it is printing out great rows of 16 zeros and 8 zeros. Now that's because I have not currently plugged in the computer. So let's see what happens if I plug in the computer and see if we can get anything interesting out of it. Okay. When I press the clock, okay, I'm getting something out of it. The computer is definitely doing something. However, I haven't got the faintest idea what it's doing. So in the next episode, what we're going to try and do is improve this program a little bit so we can try and see if we can tell what on earth is going on. So that's for the next episode. I'll see you later. Goodbye.